Okay, my name is Katie Withnell. I'm a GIS specialist, and Patty Dappin is the GIS program manager. We're both with the New Mexico Forest and Watershed Restoration Institute at New Mexico Highlands University in Las Vegas, New Mexico. The purpose of this webinar is to cover the basics of the New Mexico Vegetation Treatment geodatabase and the upload tool, as well as to share updates about both of these tools. The opportunity map is a great tool to aid in cross-jurisdictional treatment planning for creating maps for grant proposals and also for reference in preparing for the upcoming fire season. Our demonstration will show you how to use those tools to take advantage of the information in the treatment database for your own individual planning purposes. So today we are going to give an overview of the Opportunity Mapping Project in a brief slideshow. And then we'll do demos of the Vegetation Treatment Geodatabase website, as well as the upload tool. And we'll leave some time at the end for some Q&A or discussion. The Opportunity Mapping Project is a collaboration by a few different agencies in New Mexico who have an interest in developing up-to-date, accessible information about forest and watershed restoration in our state. The purpose is to create a common picture across jurisdictions and ownerships of risks, values, and treatment data that will help planners and managers make decisions on how to invest their funding in a way that will complement past restoration work and achieve a larger scale outcome. More specifically, the Opportunity Mapping Project exists as an online database that any agency, organization, or person can enter project information into, and any agency, organization, or person can access maps and data from. Maps and data are available at different scales, which may vary depending on the original source data. A key point of this is accessibility. We want these maps and data to be accessible to anyone so that people without GIS expertise or experience are able to use these databases. The New Mexico Opportunity Map is a collaborative project with many different agency partners, including State Forestry, U.S. Forest Service, the Nature Conservancy, and the New Mexico Forest and Watershed Restoration Institute. How is the vegetation treatment geodatabase being used? It is being used in a variety of different ways. Some of the ways that we've heard are in community wildfire protection plans, input for fire modeling, CFRP planning, Santa Fe Fireshed Coalition and other collaboratives use it for project planning and tracking. The Santa Clara Pueblo has used it for post-fire restoration planning. USGS has used it for treatment planning and tracking in Bandelier. And there has also been some national use. For example, the Forest Service Geospatial Technology and Application Center in Washington, D.C. has used our data for project detecting vegetation change in the Southwest. So those are just a few examples, although there are certainly other ways that you can use the geodatabase. So what exactly is it? It is a collaborative collection of geospatial data from different agencies in New Mexico, including the Forest Service, BLM, State Forestry, and many others. It contains geospatial information for planned, in progress, completed, and historical vegetation treatment projects. Other than the actual spatial boundary, we collect a number of attributes, including the year, description of the work done, species targeted, project partners, funding information, agency, and many other attributes. The geodatabase contains includes a variety of projects, so not just forestry projects and fuel reduction projects, but also rangeland and riparian noxious weeds and others. The geodatabase was originally developed and continues to be maintained by the New Mexico Forest and Watershed Restoration Institute. It is a continual work in progress as new projects are added and other maintenance and updates are regularly needed. The public version of it lives online in the ArcGIS Online web app at vegetationtreatments.org and is also available as a feature service on ArcGIS Online, which can be downloaded. I publish new versions of the data set quarterly, March, June, September, and December. The most recent version, published last month, includes over 50,000 projects in 4 map layers: completed, in progress, historical, and planned. The web app also includes other layers which can be turned on and off, including land ownership and wildfire history. Within the web app, there are several different tools for filtering, querying, reporting, and downloading the data. I will go through a demonstration in a few minutes of these tools. I'm continually developing and adding new tools and capabilities, so please check back occasionally to see new updates. To make it very easy for anyone to contribute data to this project, we have developed an upload tool which allows agencies and individuals to visit our website to fill out a short form and upload their shapefile or geodatabase or any other type of geospatial file. Alternatively, if you don't have a GIS file, you can sketch a boundary on the map and fill out a few basic attribute fields and submit your project information that way. The upload tool can be accessed via the vegetationtreatments.org site or also at upload.vegetationtreatments.org. So with that, I will go on to the demo of the Vegetation Treatments website itself, vegetationtreatments.org. Give it a second to load. So you'll see that the vegetationtreatments.org redirects to this ArcGIS Online URL. The first thing you will see is this splash screen, which includes the date that the data was last updated, which in this case was March 11th. And it also includes my contact information. If you have any technical questions or need help with the website or anything else, please feel free to contact me. So the first thing that you'll see when you look at the map is all of these projects appear as points at the scale, at the zoomed out scale. They do turn into polygon boundaries once you zoom in a little bit. If you click on a project, you will get some basic information about that project. And you can also view that information in the attribute table, which is at the bottom. And it will have more information usually. So what are we looking at? So all of the tools in the upper right-hand corner are sort of the map tools, and that will show us what we're looking at. So as you can see, the dark green are completed, the hatched are planned, the turquoise are ongoing, and the brown are historical. There are also a few, not very many, and not any that I can see in my current view, of the Mexican spotted owl injunction stipulation list projects. These were the projects that were allowed to move forward under the Mexican spotted owl injunction, which has since been lifted, but we have been asked to keep these projects on this site for a little while longer, but I would probably remove them a little bit later in the year. So the next icon is a layer list, which allows you to turn on and off layers. So you can, for example, if in your planning purposes, you're not interested in projects that are older than 10 years old, you can turn off the historical layer or perhaps the planned, whatever. You can also turn on a few other layers. So you can turn on land ownership, fire history, and we also have a layer for forest industries, such as sawmills and things like that. If you'd like to add any other layer, we've just added a new capability, which makes it very easy to do that. So oftentimes people have many different types of layers that they might want to add to the map for their own planning purposes. So this add data tool allows you to either upload a zip shape file. So it could be perhaps a planning area or a collaborative area boundary. You can upload that through here, or you can also upload basically any sort of base layer that you can think of that might be on ArcGIS Online. So if you want watershed boundaries, you can add those. If you're interested in land fire data or raster data, I mean, really anything that's available on ArcGIS Online, which has a huge catalog, you can add to the map. And those will then show up in the layer list. You can turn them on and off, and also in your legend, they will appear. So it's not permanent. So if you do refresh your browser, they will disappear, but they will stay as long as you are in your browser session. If you want to remove it, you can hit the remove button in the same location, or you could also just turn it on and off on your layer list. The other thing that you can do is change your base map if you want an air photo or street map or any other type of base map that's available here. You can change it to any of these options. Let's see, we also have a couple other tools. The measurement tool allows you to take a coordinate of something, and you can always change the units or the distance of something, or also an area. Okay, let's see. So this print tool allows you to make a map of what's on the screen. And so you can change your map title. There's a few options under advanced for the scale and things like that. And then you can just hit the print button. Again, if you added any other layers using that add data widget, they will appear on your map. And so that map will then be a PDF that you can open. And you may need to experiment with what's in the view and the scale, but it'll end up having a legend with the treatments as well as any other layers you may have added and a scale bar. And this can either be downloaded or printed. And then finally, this last icon at the very end is basically the same information that was on the splash screen. It'll have the publication date and my contact information. Okay, so those are the map tools. We also have a few tools over on the left side, which are for sort of the data, for working with the data itself and the projects. So the first tool, I want to show you the select tool, and this allows you to select the projects. So you can select projects in an area. This is probably best for If you just want to export a list of treatments in a certain location, or want to make a map of just specific treatments, you can use this tool. And so you can select some treatments, and they will show up as being selected right there. You can then view those in the attribute table. The attribute table allows you to export as a spreadsheet if you want a list of those projects. The other thing that you can do is create a temporary layer. This layer you can't actually download, although I will show you in a few minutes how you can download data. But it would allow you to have just those projects on the map. You can turn everything else off, and then you can print a map using that print tool with just projects that you're interested in. And you can do that with multiple layers. So you can also add historical or any other layers you can make temporary layers for. So let's see. So then the next tool is just an infographic chart. I'm going to leave my selection for a minute just to show you. Right now, what this chart is showing is just the selected projects. And so if you select projects, then the chart will show just those. But you'll see if I clear my selection, and again, go back to that infographic, it will be interactive and dynamic and change as I move around the map, just to show what is actually in the map view at the moment. All right, so if you'd like to filter some of the projects, kind of maybe it's not a specific area that you're looking at, but a wider area, and like to filter all of the projects by all of the layers by a single attribute, you can do that with this group filter tool. That allows you to filter by agency. So for example, we can look at just the state forestry projects, and it will remove everything else. We could also filter by species or by treatment type. So like fire, say. Also by year, things like that. So that filters across all of the 4 different layers at the same time. Collaborative, we can look at the projects that are done by the Estancia Basin Watershed Group. And again, it'll get rid of all of the projects that are in other places. If you want to be able to filter by more attributes, you can do that using the query tool, which allows you to look at multiple attributes. So with this, you can say, let's look at 2020 projects that were completed by the Forest Service. You can also you can leave anything blank that you don't want to that you're not sure about, or you can also or you can put in as many things as you want. Although you may not end up with a lot of results if you are too specific. So once you run that query, so just 2020 Forest Service projects, it'll create a temporary file, a temporary layer. So you can turn everything else off. And you'll see, oops, that we don't have too many in the area that we were looking at. There's one. But again, this query tool, again, you can open it You can open that query list in your attribute table. And you can also, make maps using that temporary layer. But again, you can't actually download the data in it. And it will disappear if you refresh your page. So the way that you actually can download data is by using this last tool here that I'm going to show you, which is the report tool. And with this tool, you can upload files. So if you have an area of interest, a collaborative area boundary or watershed boundary or whatever other boundary that you'd like to look at, you can upload that as a zip shape file and it'll show up here. Or if you don't have a geospatial file, you can just simply draw an area of interest. All right, and hit the report button. It'll then show the area of interest. You can change the units on that by hitting this little wheel button here, the settings button, and we can change it to acres and miles, let's say. It will then give a tally of what projects were in your area and a short summary of those. You can then download the projects either as a spreadsheet or if you want the geospatial information, either as a file geodatabase or a shape file. And it will zip and download all of the projects within your area. It does have a limit of about 3,000, I think. And so if you are trying to download more projects than that and run into a problem, you can just go ahead and contact me and I can get that information to you. And then also you can create a report by hitting this print tool, and it will create a map and report similar to the other map, but with an actual list of all of the projects as well. And again, you may need to sort of try to like zoom in and out and figure out what the right scale is for your map being in the window properly. But it's not too difficult. And then you'll have all of your projects with in acres, because we changed it to acres. You can change it to different unit if you prefer. And you can download or print that. So those are the tools that I have to show you today. We do have a user guide, which is out of commission right now. I need to re-upload it with some new information. It'll usually be up here on this link, but it basically just goes over all the tools that I just showed you. So it should be checked back next week and it should be there. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Patty, who will show you the upload tool.
All right. I notice people have entered questions in the chat. Thank you. We'll get to that once we're done with the demo, maybe 7 more minutes. So I want to show you another way that you can find the vegetation treatment geodatabase. And it's by going to our website. So it's nmfwri.org, going to mapping, and then NM Vegetation Treatment Mapping, as well as all of our contact information, the staff page. If you have to reach us and you can't find us, this is the page to go to. But there is a link on this website that will take you to the Vegetation Treatment Geodatabase. And at the top, there is a link called Upload Data. And so if you simply click on that link, it will take you to a wizard that will allow you to either submit data or create interactively, a shapefile that, or a polygon that you can upload to the Vegetation Treatment Geodatabase. And you know, our database is only as good as the people, you know, the data that's in it. So we're trying to encourage private landowners as well as agencies to use this tool to share data. What you see is basically a wizard that will get you started. So we need just a few, you know, just a little bit of information in case we have questions about the data. So I'm just going to pretend I'm a private landowner. And let's see. And if you're, let's just say I'm a private landowner. And we need your email and phone number only. If we have to contact you, we will not put you on a listserv or anything like that. And then a phone number that we can contact you. And then once we have that, we need information, just basic information about the treatment. Is it one project or is it multiple projects? For one project, you can create a sketch tool. If you have multiple projects, it's going to prompt you to share your data. So in this example, I'm going to say that I have one project and it's a planned project and it's a salt cedar removal. And I estimate it's going to be done by December of this year. And you can simply keep it as general or as specific as you'd like that it's salt cedar removal on like 5 acres. The target species is salt cedar. And the environmental clearance would be if you have NEPA clearance that you're waiting on or anything like that. There's also a comment section if you want to include anything else. So I'm simply going to hit next. And at this point, you can either upload a KML, a shapefile, or a zipped geodatabase. You just drag and drop the files into it. Does the shapefile need to be zipped, Katie? I think you can simply drag your files in. Ideally, a zip shapefile would be better, but I think you can just drag it in. All right. Okay, so in this example, I'm going to show you how to create a sketch. So within the window on the right, you use the roller bar on your mouse to zoom in to the area that you're interested. Okay, and because this is all integrated with the vegetation treatment geodatabase, you can show existing treatments, like if there's any planned or completed or historic. And in this case, I don't see any in this area. So I know that whatever I'm digitizing will be, it's a new project. So let me zoom in and I'm going to turn on the aerial imagery so that I can define my study area. So I'm going to start sketching and you simply click the left mouse to add points. And then double click to finish your polygon. If you don't like that polygon, you can hit the trash button and start over. Or if you're fine with it, just simply go to the next option. There's a CAPTCHA just to make sure you're not a robot. So let me type, and then you can hit submit. And then what happens is that we get an email that, you know, a polygon has been uploaded to our site, that we get all this data, we review it, and then we incorporate it into the vegetation treatment geodatabase. I am going to stop my share, and then we're going to answer some of your questions. Hold on. I'm going to ask if you're free to unmute yourself if you'd like to ask a question. I'm going to go ahead and tackle some of the questions that are in the chat. So one of them from Charles is your source data all inclusive? Meaning, did you use all the data sources that are available of vegetation treatments? So maybe you could talk about where you get most of your data, Katie.
Yeah, so we try to make sure that the database is as complete as it possibly can be. We get a lot of our data from the bigger agencies, so the Forest Service, State Forestry, BLM. Those are kind of the big three, I would say, that we get the most projects from. But I do try as hard as I can to get data from smaller groups, from tribes, from municipalities on occasion, soil and water conservation districts. There are a few data gaps in our data set. For example, right now we don't have any data from NRCS because they don't share geospatial information. It's just a policy of theirs. So that is sort of a data gap, although that's actually something that we are working with them right now to figure out a way that they can share project information about how many acres they've treated without actually identifying landowners, because that's their issue. So we're actually working on that right now, and I'm hoping sometime this year that I'll have some sort of vague way of showing what work they've done in the state. So yeah, I mean, we definitely try our best, and if you are aware of any data gaps that you know of, please contact me and I'll try to add that data.
Yeah, and a completeness survey was done in the last 3 years, Katie, right? And the completeness survey was done in the last 3 years, I believe.
Yeah, it was done in 2018.
Okay, in 2018. And the results were very positive, that, you know, we have not missed a lot of data. So we feel fairly confident that this is good quality data. One question I want to ask you, Katie, is it easier to get completed project information than planned projects?
Right, so planned projects have been a challenge for us because a lot of the times things with planning are so up in the air. A lot of the agencies don't really know what projects they're going to do until they're about ready to start doing them. However, New Mexico State Forestry is currently developing a shared stewardship portal. I believe that it is supposed to be complete maybe early next year. And they're really going to be focusing on getting agencies to submit their planned projects, their NEPA clearance information, and all of that kind of stuff. They're going to be focusing on that. We're going to continue focusing on the completed projects because those are easier to get, especially from the smaller agencies. And so hopefully it'll be a really good complementary information for both of us. I see that Mary Stuber asked if you add a layer such as focal areas, can other users see it too? No, they cannot. If you add a layer while you are browsing the site and using it, you can create a map and download it and share it with other people. But you would not be adding it to the site itself. So other people who show up would not be able to see it, which is likely a good thing. One of the challenges we've had is that people want so many different layers for their planning purposes, which is absolutely understandable. But we also don't want to make the site too complicated or messy with way too many layers that are overwhelming to look through. So this add data tool should be a good way for people to be able to look at what they need without having to be overwhelmed with too many options.
All right, if anyone has any questions, please feel free to type it in the chat or you can unmute. I'd like to just demo for the GIS people out there how you can add this layer into Pro. You can use ArcMap or ArcPro, but I just want to show you. Let me share my screen. So the database, can everyone see that? Okay.
Yes.
So the database is a feature service on ArcGIS Online. So if you're using ArcMap or ArcPro, you can simply use the catalog pane to go to the portal. And then we're going to do a search for ArcGIS Online. And then I'm going to type NM _ treatments. Okay. And so this is, I believe, the web app. So just ignore that. But it's this, you know, this add layer icon, New Mexico Vegetation Treatments. You can simply drag it into your view. And you can work within ArcPro to look at the data and analyze it without having to use the web app. So this is another nice feature so that you can work within your own data set or projects to look at everything. My computer's—
Right. This is the way to truly be able to customize using the data set. The web app is probably more geared towards people who don't have a lot of GIS expertise, but if you have ArcPro, and this is definitely the best way to look at the data.
Yeah. And so what I can do is I can share this path in the chat. Hold on, sorry. So that if you wanted to, let me stop the share. 1 second. Okay. And so this is an easier tool to use if you want to add that feature service within either ArcMap or ArcPro.
All right. Does anybody have any other questions or thoughts?
Yeah, like is there—
read on mute if you'd like, or you can type in the chat.
Yeah, is there some tool or function that you're interested in, or is there, you know, just, it can be comments or wish lists or things like that. Okay. Well, if not, I don't want to keep everyone. I know everyone is busy, and but please spread the word that this data, you know, it's out there, and we need more people using it and contributing, and so we can make it available to everyone for projects, for project planning and modeling, and there's a lot of good applications.
Great, thank you, Nick.
Yay. Awesome.
All right, well,
have a great day, and feel free to contact us in the future if you have questions. We're
absolutely
around. Yeah. All right.
great.
Bye.